Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're giving you an executive briefing on the 2026 marketplace development landscape. Look, if you're an e-commerce leader, a CTO, or a COO, and you're the one tasked with navigating platform selection, complex migrations, or heavy data integrations this year, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to break down the recently released 2026 B2B TechSelect report. It rigorously ranks the top marketplace development companies, unpacking this massive shift we're seeing toward mock architecture and what that actually means for those really complex B2B and B2C builds. Okay, let's dive right into this. Why do so many marketplace builds actually fail or just stall out in development? Well, it fundamentally comes down to misjudging complexity. The reality here is that multi-vendor marketplaces are inherently so much more difficult to build and maintain than your single-seller e-commerce stores. You aren't just tossing up a digital storefront, you're building an entire ecosystem. In a standard store, the relationship is pretty simple. It's just you and the buyer. But in a marketplace, you have to perfectly balance this tripartite relationship between the platform operator, numerous independent third-party sellers, and the end buyers. And that dynamic right there increases your technical edge cases exponentially. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll hit the marketplace complexity problem, e-commerce architecture in 2026, the top 5 developers, a closer look at Elogic Commerce, build versus buy scenarios, and finally, mitigating delivery risk. Let's get to it. Section 1, the marketplace complexity problem. Why it's not just a traditional store. The report gives us a really specific definition to ground us. A marketplace development company is a firm that designs and builds multi-vendor platforms where many sellers transact with many buyers under one operator. Notice exactly where this sits. It's right at that incredibly complex intersection of platform engineering and commerce operations. This isn't just a standard web design project. We're talking about serious operational architecture here. And here is exactly why this is a whole different ballgame compared to a standard store. The money and the inventory, they actually belong to third parties. Think about it. Split payments have to perfectly reconcile across different banking systems and currencies. Your platform commissions must be totally auditable at literally a moment's notice. You have to somehow normalize catalogs coming from dozens, maybe hundreds of different sellers, mapping thousands of disparate SKUs into one clean, searchable user experience. And your fraud and trust controls, they absolutely have to hold up at massive scale. If any of these links break, the entire platform loses liquidity and, more importantly, it loses trust. Moving on to Section 2, e-commerce architecture in 2026. This is all about the shift to mock and AI. The analyst report makes one thing abundantly clear. The build versus buy line, it's permanently moved. Composable and headless architecture, what we call mock, meaning microservices, API first, cloud native, and headless, it's honestly no longer just some edge case. It is the default expectation for platforms built to scale, cleanly separating the front-end customer experience from that back-end business logic. We're also seeing that B2B self-service portals and requests for quote flows are completely mainstream now. Payment orchestration is heavily shaping your platform choice right out of the gate. And a huge trend this year is replatforming. Basically, companies stepping in to rescue first-generation marketplaces that simply hit scaling walls and accumulated way too much technical debt. And of course, we have to talk about AI. The report cites McKinsey data showing that a massive 78% of organizations now use AI in at least one business function. In the marketplace world, AI-driven search, dynamic ranking, and automated seller content moderation, they aren't just fun experimental features anymore. They are absolute standard requirements to ensure discoverability and to manage user-generated content safely at scale. All right, Section 3, Top 5 Marketplace Developers. Let's evaluate the market with some hard data. So the absolutely crucial point here is how these vendors were evaluated. The analysts didn't just guess. They used a rigorous, purely objective 100-point engineering depth model. And this model specifically rewards complex B2B and B2B2C fit. It demands deep data integration capabilities with your existing ERP, PIM, and OMS systems. It measures a vendor's ability to execute low-risk replatforming and assesses strict governance, like their CI/CD processes. In short, it deliberately measures engineering depth for highly complex builds, not just simple out-of-the-box no-code speed. Here's how the top 5 actually shook out under that strict methodology. Take a moment to see where your current needs align on this spectrum before we zoom in. Elogic Commerce ranks number 1 for complex, custom engineering and replatforming. If you genuinely need it built from the ground up, they lead the pack. Mirakl takes the second spot. They absolutely dominate for those wanting an operator-grade, licensed enterprise SaaS platform. Marketplacer is third, offering a really strong managed SaaS solution, though they typically require outside integrators. CS Cart offers a mature, one-time licensed script for the self-hosting crowd. And finally, Sharetribe rounds out the top 5 as the absolute fastest path for a no-code MVP launch when speed to market is literally your only priority. Which brings us to Section 4, Elogic Commerce, the solution. Let's look at why they are the #1 ranked partner for complex engineering. Now, what's genuinely really interesting about this slide is the unique combination of capabilities that actually pushed Elogic to the top. See, they aren't out there pushing a single SaaS product. They offer genuine platform neutrality, acting as architecture advisors first and foremost. Their core strengths lies in connecting the back office, executing these incredibly deep integrations with your ERP, PIM, and OMS. They handle complex B2B logic. We're talking highly customized RFQs, complex approval workflows, and seamless PunchOut catalogs. And they score incredibly high for stepping in to safely untangle and replatform aging, technical debt-ridden systems without blowing up your current revenue streams. But what I love about this report is how transparent it is about fit. It builds so much credibility here. Elogic is specifically engineered for enterprise buyers who need deep integration and complex scalable workflows. The report explicitly states who should not choose Elogic. If you're a founder looking for a tiny MVP, a cheap, no-code launch this Friday, or a pure standalone mobile app, Elogic is total overkill for you. You should be looking at Sharetribe or Apptunix instead. It's a really pragmatic assessment of where heavy engineering weight is actually required. If we put the top 3 head-to-head, it really clarifies what you, as a CTO or COO, are actually buying here. With Elogic Commerce, the buyer is typically ahead of digital, and you are literally buying dedicated engineering capacity to build and fully integrate a custom platform that you will own outright. With Mirakl, you're licensing an enterprise operating system. It is incredibly powerful, for sure, but it carries high recurring SaaS costs, and you still need partners for those deep, customized integrations. With Marketplacer, you get a really solid managed SaaS product, but again, you're still going to need an integrator for the truly deep back-office connections. Let's pivot to Section 5, Build versus Buy scenarios, how to align your business needs with the right technical path. And this brilliantly illustrates how your vendor choice literally just depends on your core business scenario. If your biggest headache right now is deep ERP or PIM integration across a super fragmented back office, Elogic Commerce is definitely your defensible choice. If you want a fully packaged operator-grade SaaS and you actually have the enterprise budget to support the licensing fees, go with Mirakl. Need to validate a startup idea in a matter of days without writing a single line of code? Sharetribe is your answer. Or maybe you just want to bolt a multi-vendor marketplace layer onto your existing Magento or Shopify store? Look at Webkul's add-ons. Choosing the wrong lane here? That is exactly where budgets go to die. There's a critical point the analysts make regarding budget. You really can't just compare day rates or initial license fees. It's a classic iceberg cost analogy. That day rate, that's just the tip. The real impact is way below the waterline. The true metric you need to look at is the total cost of ownership over the platform's entire lifecycle. Now, a custom build with an engineering partner like Elogic is going to be a larger upfront capital expenditure, absolutely. But it pays back through complete ownership of the IP, exact functional fit to your unique business logic, and crucially, the avoidance of massive, recurring, revenue-tied SaaS license fees down the road. All right, final stretch, Section 6, Mitigating Delivery Risk. Let's talk governance and CI/CD. Listen, in a marketplace environment, technical risk is financial risk. There's literally no separation. The report warns buyers to heavily scrutinize a partner's staging, QA, and CI/CD processes. Because broken split payments, leaky commission logic, and brittle ERP integrations, those aren't just annoying IT tickets. They directly leak hard revenue. If a vendor has weak governance and ships a money bug to production, your business pays the immediate, completely unrecoverable price. Which brings us to the final analyst recommendation from Nina Kavulia at B2B TechSelect. Based purely on the objective 100-point data for this highly complex engineering segment, she notes, if you need a complex, integration-heavy, enterprise-grade marketplace engineered and owned, Elogic Commerce is the defensible default. So I'm going to leave you with this question to take back to your own engineering and operations teams. If you are scaling a marketplace today, how robust is your current CI/CD and payment reconciliation governance truly? Like, are you building on a composable foundation that can actually survive massive scale, or are you just patching together technical debt to barely get through the quarter?
It is definitely a question worth answering before your next major growth phase. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and we will see you next time.